Well, it's gone reasonably well for us. We've got quite a young side, so I don't think we were expecting too much, although it would be nice to have finished higher up the table. But a mid-table finish, I think, is just about right, and we've got lots of young players to build on.
Were there any specific targets at the start of the season?
Well, I think, bearing that in mind, that we were bringing through quite a few young and inexperienced players, a top half of the table finish was perhaps the objective.
Okay. How pleased have you been with the home form this season?
Well, the home form's been a bit wayward. We did well up till Christmas, and then we had a poor spell at home. We lost 2 or 3 on the trot. Very often games that we could well have won, but one of the things that I suppose experience may bring is the facility to close out a game when things are tight.
Do you think there's any game that really stands out from all the others as this team's best performance this season?
Well, I suppose, although it wasn't necessarily the most spectacular of games, the Christmas derby against Fylde was rugby players, a specialist sort of delight, really, because we played with extremely good discipline, and although it was a very close result, it was a very much a team effort, and we got the win.
How close do you think that you are to the likes of Nuneaton, Fylde and Caldy?
I don't think we're far away. We're, as I said, it's a question of experience. We covered the first half of the season pretty well injury-free. We only had 1 or 2 out, but the total started to mount a bit, and towards the end, we got to the stage where we ended up at Harrogate, for example, on Easter Monday with a scrum half, with a hooker playing scrum half and a flanker playing number 10.
So would you say promotion's possible for next season?
Well, I think we'll be looking to finish higher up next year. And that means promotion. There's no point in playing in a league unless you're prepared to shoot for the top spot.
Okay. So would you say injuries have had a big blow to your side this season?
I think some of them, yes. I think some of them have. I mean, as I said, we had a pretty good spell up to Christmas when we did well, but we lost all 3 of our standoffs, for example, for the last 3 or 4 games. And so that involved a fairly radical mixture, in the backs, a reshuffling of the backs, and that certainly had an effect.
So how impressed have you been with the young players who have come in this season?
I think they've been fantastic. Everyone really has stepped up to the mark, and as I said before, it certainly looks good for the future.
Yeah. Do you think any of the young players could go on to play at a higher level?
Well, that's always a possibility. If if we hope that we can keep them for 2 or 3 seasons. But if they're good enough and they want to progress, then we're quite happy to send them on their way with our blessing, as we have done in the past.
Are there any senior players who you think have really stood out for you this season?
Well, I suppose the likes of Glyn Dewhurst, who was to be captain this year. Unfortunately, because of work commitments, he wasn't available for much of the first half of the season. But he came back in and gave us some experience in the back row, which is important. The scrum half, Darren Mawson, who took over the captaincy. I mean, he's only 26, but he seems to have been here for an awful long time, and he's a very, very influential player. And together, the pack generally played well. We've got a very strong front row, and Richie Sands, the hooker, is one of our senior players. He's been important in that department, because we have out-scrummaged most of the sides we've played in this league this year.
Are you pleased with Marcus Jackson's performances at fly half?
Yes, I mean, Marcus unfortunately is ill. Finished off the season. He got injured during the season, and then he was ill for the last few games. But he's certainly grown into the role, and together with Nick Smith, because they were more or less alternating earlier on in the season. But Marcus is a very skillful player and a very reliable kicker, so he has made his contribution certainly.
How much of an achievement was it to reach the Lancashire Cup final?
Well, it was pretty good really, because we had the difficult half of the draw. We had to play Sedgley Park and Waterloo on our way to the final, both of whom play in higher leagues than us. And although realistically neither of them or us turned out necessarily our first string sides for the game,
right.
We won both comfortably, so we were quite pleased. And it's always good to get to a cup final. We've only won it twice, and it would have been nice to win it a third time. But I think on the day, Fylde were the better side.
Is there a target for next season?
It's all going to be a bit of a new experience, because the league is increased to 16. We've got some new sides coming in, like Westow, for example, from the northeast that we don't know very much about. We've got Waterloo coming back down again, and we don't know what sort of strength they're going to be. So it's all a little bit different. But I would very much hope that we'll be there or thereabouts at the top of the league.
Yeah, are you pleased with the changes you made to the backroom staff with Alex Key signing on for 2 more years?
Yes, we've got a strong coaching side, a team rather. We've got Alex, and he's supported by Paul Manley. More recently, on a temporary basis at the moment, we've had a player called Martin Emmett, who played here for a few years when we were in Division 2. He was a specialist back, and he's been helping out with the back. So that's sort of added to the team. But that's fairly healthy.
Okay. Do you think you'll be making many changes to the squad over the summer?
I don't think so. We're not particularly proactive with recruitment, with the sort of side that we've got. Unfortunately, Richard Carlton, who was a walk-in for us, the Irish tight head prop,
right.
He spent 2 seasons here. He's gone back to Ireland to gone home. So we'd be looking maybe at the front row. Having said that, we've got some young props already coming through. So we're not particularly acquisitive in terms of bringing in new players, but if any become available and they're interested in coming to Hoppers, obviously we make them welcome.